Hey, let's talk about another one of your high-profile matches. We talked about it a little bit in the back, but let's not so much talk about the match. But Randy Savage, I was watching a lot of stuff about him, recently because he's one of my favorite guys to watch work.
Sure.
And I loved his promos. I loved watching old stuff back, when he was in Memphis. And
it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
him and Lanny together.
Yeah,
but Randy would just stand out like you knew that guy was going to be unbelievable. Man.
Right. So. I had a squat, and I had a match with him. You remember we used to go to Orlando, and we'd crank out a couple of months of television. Yep. And, I think Randy beat me in like 3 or 4 minutes. I was stunning Steve. Wasn't shit. Yeah, was what it was. Happy to do the favors.
Sure.
But I don't really remember the match. Don't remember working with Randy. Don't remember shit.
Right.
So how was that guy to work with, just as far as, delivery, execution, being there, timing?
To me, I always say this thing. I say, when I first did stuff with him, in the ring and, just the way he moved, no TV cameras on now.
Right.
He was light and smooth and just like dancing with Fred Astaire. But when that red light came on, boom, I seen a big red flash, man, like boom, blue flash. And I was like, what the fuck? He took it up 5 notches, and that's how he made it. And his shit, as you know, was so intense. He asked to work with me because I couldn't say, I'd like to work with Randy Savage.
Yeah, you ain't going to make that call.
That wasn't going to happen. Here's one of the greatest moments ever for me, though. We've got the angle. It's hot as fuck. We're heading to Spring Stampede. That was the pay. That was the first match. That's where I won my world title 2 years later. That was the great pay-per-view for me. And we're in Florence, South Carolina. I think you remember the building. Might hold it was a hockey arena, hold like 8,000 people.
Right.
They're hanging from the rafters. We're hot as fuck right now. We have not gone completely to bigger buildings. We were getting there. It's early '97, and putting on our boots in the back. Me and Randy in the same room. Arn Anderson walks in. He said, "Well, Randy," he goes, "what do you want to do tonight?" Because he controlled his outcome like Hulk did.
Right.
No one told him what he did. He booked the match. And he said, tying up his boots, he goes, "Will, I think I want to take the diamond cutter." And fucking Arn almost fell over because Arn had told me a year earlier, you're never going to be a top guy.
Right.
Because Savage, Flair, Hogan, Stinger, Luger, they'll never put you over.
Right.
And this is a heated thing at me.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah,
it's all been laxative. I love Arn.
Yeah.
But he told me that. So he looks at me. He ain't apologized to me yet because we're not there yet, right? And he says, "Well, Diamond, I hope you understand this honor." And I said, "Yeah, Arn, I do." So we go out there, we have the match. Like it's the people we don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
It's
you
white
lock up and it's a pop. Tackle's a pop.
Crazy. So we get to the end. He gets some good heat on me. And now it's time to go home. So I start going home. Boom, bang, boom, boom. He shuts me off. He says, "Diamond cutter." Goes for the slam. Bang! Friggin', I'm laying there. The roof is blown off. I'm on my stomach. He's on his back. And I do the crawl. I just lay my arm across him. 1, 2, 3. The roof explodes again. And then, Steve, it was like, do you remember Get Smart?
Yeah.
Remember we had the cone of silence?
Yeah.
It was like as loud as that place was, it was like the cone of silence came over me and him.
Right.
And I could hear him say, "Well, I guess we know what we're doing for Spring Stampede."
He had to have been probably the most intense catch you ever worked with, Randy Savage, correct?
Absolutely. I'll give you how intense. At Thanksgiving, like our angle had started on my birthday in April. So now it's Thanksgiving, and this guy, he's made me. He's put me in that spot. And Kevin and Scott, they lit the rocket. He took it home, and I had a lot of people back then. Remember, we all had pagers back then, so I was getting all these pages from people. "Happy Thanksgiving, D. Thanks so much for helping me, getting the company." I helped like 30 guys get jobs, so I had a lot of guys that were, being very appreciative at Thanksgiving time. I'm thinking, who am I thankful to? After about like the 28th one, I'm like, fuck, who am I thankful to besides Dusty, Jake, my family, people who know, because I would tell them all the time. I always say there is no Diamond Dallas Page without Dusty Rhodes. I've said it thousands of times. I never forget where I came from. And I'm thinking, well, who else doesn't know? And I go, fuck, Randy doesn't. I'll bet you he doesn't know how much I appreciate this. So I pick up the phone and I leave him a message. I go, hey, Randy, I go, this is going to sound really corny, but, I got a bunch of people tweeting me, Happy Thanksgiving, and thanking me for helping them out, getting their job here and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, who am I thankful for, man? And I'm thinking, fuck, Randy Savage, dude, I just got to call you and thank you for really helping me get to this spot. I couldn't have done it without you, man. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. I hung up. Well, the next week, he's not the TV. I think he's on vacation. So it's like 2 weeks later, and I see him backstage. And when he, the way he walked around sometimes, that was that motherfucker in the back, too, when you know that. He's wired different. And when he sees me, he goes, Diamond, come here. I'm thinking, fuck, what did I do? So I'm walking over to him, he grabs me, and he pulls me off. He goes, come here. He goes, I got your message. And I got to tell you. And he's fucking looked like he's going to kill me, His eyes are fucking all wound up. He goes, I got your message, and I called my dad up, and I played it for him. And I said, Dad, does any of the boys ever do that for you? He goes, no, Randy. He goes, I never even heard of that before. And he goes, that's what I thought. He goes, Diamond, I just want you to know it meant a lot. And he gave me a really big hug. It was like, that's how intense that cat was,
Man, I tell you what, I just, I remember you've told me that story before, but I always love hearing that. And, that's, that was a heavy duty cat. I wish he was still around. What was your reaction when you heard the news about Savage passing away not too long ago?
It rocked me, man.
What was in deal? Was it a heart attack? And
from what I understand, I think he had a heart attack, and I think he was driving. I'm not really sure exactly.
Yeah, he was driving.
I think he cracked his car.
His wife.
Yeah, and she was all right, thank God. I got a great story about that because I haven't been to many of the funerals. I've been band I've been to a couple of them.
Yeah, I hate them.
I'm going to Randy Savage's.
Right.
Sure. That's the guy. He put me in that spot. And so Lanny calls me back and he says, Diamond, I just want you to know, Randy didn't want any big fanfare, and I love you so much for saying you're going to come and everything, and Randy really loved you and respected you and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, but let me tell you why. He said, Randy's dog died not long ago. His name was Hercules.
Right.
And we took the ashes out to this, big Seminole tree that he's got there,
And they dumped the ashes.
Dumped the ashes there. And he says to Lanny, he says, Lanny, when I die, I don't want any big fanfare or shit. I want my ashes laid right here next to Hercules. And Lanny doing Randy was just unbelievably classic. And he says, but Randy, why would you want to lay your ashes next to your dog?
I love the punchline. I heard the story. Go ahead.
If it's good enough for Hercules, it's good enough for me. That's Randy Savage, man.